us Indians in America, we're the smallest minority population in America. You would think that because we are all Indian, that we would band together. You would think that. In most cases, it's true. Yeah, if I meet a Comanche guy, most cases we're gonna click. Yeah, if I meet a Mohawk, most cases we're gonna click because we're both Indian. If I meet somebody, a Nez Perce, most situations we're gonna get along just fine. Cheyenne, even better because we're allies for thousands and thousands of years. If I meet an Indian from Florida, we're going to get along really good. If I meet an Apache from Arizona or Mexico, we're going to get along really, really good. If I meet a Hopi from Arizona, we're going to get along really good. If I meet a Jicarilla from Arizona, we're going to get along really, really good. Yeah? If I meet what other big tribe can I think of? Anishinaabe. We are enemies traditionally, but if I meet one, we're gonna get along. Same thing with the Mandan, Hidatsa, Arikara. Those are our traditional enemies, but if I meet one, we're gonna get along just fine. Yeah, and that has been my experience. I've traveled quite a bit. Yeah. And I've spent lots of times with Indians from many different tribes, and every time it was really, really nice. There's good and bad wherever you go, but most of the situations they were nice people until I encountered Navajos, and that just surprised the hell out of me. That was downright shocking. I didn't even know these guys. But as soon as they found out that I was Lakota, they go on an attack. Yeah? Right in front of you. They're going to stand right in front of you and talk in their language. And if you watch them real close, watch their facial gestures, you know they're talking about you. Now, to prove my point, remember, there's good and bad wherever you go. Okay? So, I had a really good friend. Her name was Joan. She's a Navajo girl. She's a res girl. Yeah? Really cool girl. She was a damn good friend of mine. And I just wanted to know. Yeah? I wanted to know what they were saying. She speaks Navajo, so we went into a situation, and we were in this situation where we went there together. But as soon as we got there, we parted. Then she came back around, so that they didn't see her, but she could hear them. And so I was there, and right away it's all guys. It's the guys that are like this mostly, yeah. And right away they start talking, and I was looking at their faces, and I could tell, they knew I was Lakota. So right away, what's really funny is they were talking English until I got there. I thought that was stupid to begin with. Yeah, why didn't they just speak Navajo the whole damn time? And so when I got there, they start talking Navajo, and then they were going for about several minutes, and then Joan broke through them. "Oh, hi, David," she said. "Yeah, it's good to see you again." She said, "Let's go get some pizza." She said, I'll pay," she said. So I said, "All right." So we headed out towards where the Pizza Hut was, and she said, "Them guys were thinking of fighting you," she said. That's why I jumped in right away. So once she jumped in and said that, they backed away because they know her too. They know she's a Navajo, so they backed out. Because and then we left, and that's how I knew that's what they do. I only had one really good experience with a Navajo guy, and that guy married my cousin. They live in Winslow, Arizona. His name is Severe. He married my cousin Margaret. That's the only cool Navajo guy I ever met in my life, and I met a whole bunch of them. And some of them will start out, they're really friendly to you and stuff like that, but then you find out later, the grapevine really moves, among Indians, and so you find out that they were talking shit about you, behind your back. And then when you come to see them, they're like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Hey, let's, they're all friendly and stuff." But then, that's all bullshit. And the thing is, this happens everywhere. But the thing is, 99% of my experiences with Navajo guys was really no good. Sometimes it starts out nice, yeah. Sometimes it starts out really nice, and then they turn. It's just like they run in packs, yeah, like wolves, and it's just unreal that just because I'm not one of them, yeah. So there was a time where I was walking down the street. I was going to class. This was in university, and I was in Utah, so there's a shitload of Navajos there. So I was walking to class, and I lived off campus, yeah, in the student housing. I lived off campus, and there was this Toyota. I can't remember what kind of car it was, but there were about 6 guys in there. Now, for those of you that know what a Toyota Corolla looks like, to put 6 guys into that car, you have to be really small, yeah? And bony. So there was this car. 6 Navajo guys were sitting in this car, and they followed me all the way, yeah? And I thought, they're going to, if they're going to do something, I just thought, if I'm gonna get my ass kicked, I'm gonna make it worth it. Yeah, this was my mind thinking, and maybe that was macho because I was in my 20s during that time. Yeah, so maybe this is macho thinking, but the way I thought was that okay, there's 6 of them, and 1 of me. Okay, so if I'm gonna if they're gonna gang me up and beat the crap out of me, I'm gonna make it worth it. I'm not gonna run screaming and saying help, help, help. I'm gonna take out as many as I can. And honest to goodness, I was practicing in my mind, how imagining different scenarios in which they would come at me, that I would grab the nearest one right away and grab his finger and just bend it completely backwards, yeah, and until I hear a click, and then let him drop and then go for the next one and do what I can, to before I go down. Do you see what I mean? So I was playing all of this out in my mind really fast. Okay, I got to be aware somebody might come from behind me, so as I take one down in front of me, I have to somehow slant either to the left or to the right so that, that he doesn't get me fast. See, I was really going through all these routines in my mind. Then I said, okay, let's get it on. So I turned around and I walked towards their car. Yeah, I headed right for the driver. My first plan was to grab the driver by the head, open the door, slam the door against his head as many times as I could until he gets knocked out. See, that leaves only one door, and 5 guys coming out at the same time is going to be slow. Yeah, so that's going to give me time to knock out one, and then I just have to deal with the other 5, and hopefully I can take 2, 3 down before anything happens to me. See, I had all this played out. So I headed towards the driver's side of this guy's car, and that shocked them. They didn't expect that. So that car really backed up fast, and they turned around and took off. I never heard from them again. Yeah, they never followed me after that. But every time I went to school, I had to look back. I had to watch my back because I could not trust that, I couldn't trust them at all. Then I had to look in front. Maybe they're coming from the side. Maybe they're going to be in front of me. I had to be ready to fight every time I went to class. And these were Navajos. You would think that, that's the kind of shit you have to go through when you face racist white people. But this was racist Indians against another Indian tribe. How stupid can you get when Indians don't like each other just because they're a different tribe? That is stupid beyond stupid. Yeah? So there's like I said, there's only one Navajo guy I met that was a really cool guy. He wasn't like this. Yeah, he wasn't like this. And the problem is, I met a shitload of Navajo guys. So for me to say I only know one that was this cool, that to me says a lot. Now, as I started meeting other Indians, they all tell a similar story. They get along with everybody, but as soon as it comes to Navajos, it's different. If I ask them, so what do you think of these Navajo guys? Then they'll pause, they'll kind of smile, and they'll ask me, why did you have an experience? And I say, yeah. I say, then they'll look at me and they'll say, yeah, well, what can I say? They're different. And it's not a good different, yeah? And as I get to know them better, these other Indians, as I got to know them better, then they told me what happened to them, which was very similar. And I said, it seems to be this way no matter where I went in America. If I went to Colorado, yeah, if I went to Minnesota or North Dakota and met Indians up there who spent time in the Southwest, and they say, yeah, the Apaches are really cool, and the Hopis are really cool, and all these other tribes, they're really cool, but when it comes to Navajos, they're fucking assholes. That's all 100% of the time. That was the reaction that I got. Yeah, it's so unreal. Another example. There was a Navajo girl who married a guy from Cheyenne River. They met, I think, in Utah at university, and they got married. And after university, they returned to Cheyenne River, this is where I'm from, Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And this lady is a friend of my mother. That's how I know. They're both preschool teachers, but they worked in different towns. Yeah. But this lady was really friendly, and my mom was friendly to her too. And this story comes from this Navajo lady, and she told this to my mother. She said that after she had, I think she had a little, was her first child? I think it was a boy, or was it a girl? I can't remember, but I'll say her first kid. She had the baby in Cheyenne River, and then she wanted to go visit her parents, and she could show them their new grandchild. Yeah. So the dad, he couldn't get time off from his work, so she went down by herself, and I think one of her friends from Arizona came up with her, so they went back together. So when they got back there, her father had some kind of a ceremony ready. He told his daughter, he said, you have to go through a purification ceremony because you were living among the Sioux people, he said. So she said, well, what about my baby? He's half Sioux. So he said, well, he can come here, but your husband can't. So she said, well, if my husband can't, then I don't want to be here, she said. If you either accept my husband or you lose me, she said. So the dad really got mad at her. And she said, whoever heard of this? Said, trying to cleanse me because I was living among the Sioux people? I have to cleanse before I can speak to my mom? She said. That doesn't make sense. She said, I don't like that. We're all Indians. What's wrong with you? She said. And she told her father, said, you change or you never see your grandchildren. Ever, she said. If you can't change, I'm gonna tell my children that you're dead. Because if you're gonna have this much hatred in your heart for my husband, you are dead to me, she said. Then she turned around, went back to South Dakota. She kept her children away from Arizona after that. So these children grew up as Lakota people. Even though they're half Navajo, they grew up as Lakota. Because their own family didn't want to have that much to do with them because they were half Lakota. They were half Sioux. Do you see what I mean? That mentality? It's unreal that they would have to do something like that. It's just, I can't find the words to explain how much that disgusts me. So when the Navajo people like to say they're a matriarchal society, maybe this is why the men are like that, because they don't wear the pants. Yeah, they have an inferiority complex, so they feel they have to put others down. I don't know. But what I do know is that most of the experiences that I and other Indians that I know who are not Navajo, that most of our experiences were the same. That 99% of the time our experiences were really, really bad. When I was in university in Utah, it was Thanksgiving time. It's just a 4-day holiday. I didn't feel like buying a plane ticket and flying home for Thanksgiving and then flying back 4 days later because it's kind of expensive. I didn't have that kind of money being a university student. And so this church guy is a Mormon bishop. He invited anybody in the neighborhood to, if you don't have a place to go for Thanksgiving, come to my place, he said. So I said, cool, I'm there. So I went, and there was me, a Apache guy and a Navajo guy, and who else was there? Papago guy, Todono Odham, they call themselves. That's in their language. Yeah, so us 4 guys and some others there. So he thought more would come, which was okay because that meant more food for us. More watrecha. More leftovers. Anyway, so the guy asked us to introduce ourselves and tell which tribe we're from. So I said, yeah, people at that time, nobody's not going to know the word Lakota, yeah, because Dances with Wolves was not out yet. So, but if you say the word Sioux, everybody knows what that is. Crazy horse, sitting bull, black elk, and all these things like that. So I said, yeah, my name is David Little Elk, and I'm a Sioux Indian from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. I said, wonderful, he said. Then the guy next to me was a Navajo. My name is Blada Be Gay, and I'm from the Greater Navajo Nation. He said, that's the way he said it, Greater. And so me and this Apache guy looked at each other and see, not that. Not, that guy must really have an inferiority complex. He just had to be greater. So when we were passing the food around, and I had the turkey was cut up. So this Navajo guy took some meat, and I said, here's some more for the greater Navajo." The Apache guy just started laughing, and the other guy's kind of giggling away, and it was like, if that Navajo guy could blush, he was blushing because he regretted what he said after that. Yeah, and so yeah, okay. Here, you want some gravy? Here, take some extra for the gravy. Oh man, we really had fun with him after that. And but do you see what I mean? The inferiority complex is there, and it is so and then they're going to try to find fault with your culture, and they're going to try to find a way. They're going to try to do it in a teasing way, but behind that, why would we do that to anybody? Why would we make fun of another tribe's culture? Yeah, we don't do that, Lakota people. We tease ourselves because humor is really a big part of our culture. In our way, we have this expression, "Mitakwe oyasi," and so because of this, other tribes would tease us. Yeah, them Lakota people are just a bunch of tree huggers, because we call everything a relative. Yeah, the tree nation, the flower nation, the buffalo nation, the elk nation. Every animal, every plant species we see as people, we see them as a nation. Yeah, the tree nation. Yeah, Cha Oyate. Yeah, we see everything as nations, and we address them as relatives. Not many Indian tribes do that. So that's why either we tease ourselves or we get teased by fellow tribes by saying, "Yeah, the Lakota people were the first tree huggers." Do you see it? That's good fun humor, but to put down somebody, that's a different story. Yeah. So this is a really interesting thing that exists among Indian people. That there is one tribe in particular that tries to set itself above others. They call their way the beauty way. They call their, and they say walk in beauty. Everything is beauty, 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 beauty. And if you're not one of them, you're ugly, ugly, ugly. What they're basically saying is that Navajo equals beauty, non-Navajo equals ugly. That is a duality. Yeah? But I want to make that point is that there's some Navajos that are starting to embrace Lakota concepts. They're starting to embrace our sweat lodge ceremony. And so when they do it, they learn our songs and they're singing in Lakota. They're even starting to pray in Lakota because they realize this ceremony is humbling. It brings them down to the earth. It now they see things as peace and humility instead of beauty. Do you see what I mean? So it's interesting that this tribe that for thousands of years saw itself as above other Indians, that today some of them, a small, tiny percentage of them, are starting to come to the Lakota way because they see it as a way of connecting to all the universe. They see it as a way of living in harmony with nature. And then they see it as a way of living in harmony with themselves. Let's hope that number increases, because that's horrible when most of a nation is in an unhealthy way and sees itself as better than others. So if you're Navajo and I pissed you off, talk to somebody else who's not Navajo, and I'll guarantee you they're going to tell you the same thing. Yeah. So take a look at yourself in the mirror and really examine, all these things, because this stuff happens. Yeah. This is really it is a duality, and it is unhealthy to think that you are better than others just because you're a certain tribe. We're not that way. We see ourselves as humble. We see ourselves as grandchildren of Grandmother Earth, but we don't see ourselves as better than others. So you have to really take a look at that. Yeah, you talk to other people and just find out, and you will see it. And if you don't see it, you're in denial, and that's still coming from duality. I know what it's like when you go among a different group of people and they all verbally assault you. And like I said, for me, it was another Indian tribe. It wasn't white people. It was another Indian tribe that treated me with much more disrespect than any white man has ever treated me. Yeah? I've experienced the worst racism coming from another Indian tribe. And that is interesting. The most racism I have ever experienced in my life came from another Indian tribe. Yeah, and the funny thing is we're the same skin color. Intertribal racism. Yeah, okay. And this is so odd, that I have had some good experiences with Navajo people, don't get me wrong, okay? Unfortunately, most of what I've experienced has not been good from among those people. Yeah? And it's every time. This is over a span of like 20 years, okay? So I'm not just talking about a few months. So, anyway, you see this all over the world, as you see on the news. People are, you see people hating other people just because of a religion and the skin color and so forth. Every day on the news you see something like this, and it's just ridiculous. I went to South Germany in a place called Coburg, which is in the Bayern part of Germany. And I went with a friend, him and his wife, and we went to a McDonald's to eat lunch. And oh my goodness, as soon as I walked into that restaurant, it just stared at me. I couldn't even, they watched my every move in the whole restaurant, the McDonald's, yeah? I sat down, they were watching me eat, and there were some people snickering at me, and it was so weird to be gawked at, because I'm an Indian, I have long hair, and everybody. This town is a big town. It's a city, and it's all white people. Okay, it's all white Germans. I didn't even see that many Turkish people there. We went to see somebody had a high school student who was they were doing a musical of Greece that evening. So we went to go see it because they bought us tickets. And I walked into the auditorium, and whoa, people were staring at me. It was just like I was getting more attention than the show. Do you know what I mean? But it was not good attention either. It was like, what's he doing here? And gee, many crackers, it was horrible. and I couldn't wait to get back to Berlin. Yeah, and so we spent the night at their friend's house. They were nice and hospitable people, but everybody else was really no good. And it was such a relief to come back to Berlin because Berlin has many cultures living here, and believe me, it's not entirely peaceful, but it is much better than the rest of Germany. Berlin is totally unlike the other parts of Germany. It's really like an island. Yeah, it's a state of mind. Other cities are not like this. Maybe Hamburg a little bit, but mostly it's Berlin that's really more open. It's more accepting. It's more tolerant of other cultures. Here, I can walk into a restaurant and nobody gives a shit. I'm just an international dude. Yeah, nobody nobody really cares. Somebody might say, "Oh, gee, he's got long hair," but that's it. Yeah, and nobody makes fun of me or anything like that. It's I don't really run into that many rugged experiences, and, and so what was worse than all of that? The my experience into South Germany. What was worse than that was the experience I had among Navajo Indians. That's unreal. Yeah, that I felt more uncomfortable among Navajos than I did to a group of white people. That says something. Now, believe me, I came with an open mind. You know, when I went to that part of America, I came with an open mind. Maybe I could learn a little bit of Navajo. To speak some Navajo. I wanted to get along with the people, but that's not what they wanted. And so my expectations were totally dashed. Yeah, and I just thought, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to waste my time, um, with that kind of mess. I'm just going to do my own thing. Yeah. so so the duality was very strong coming from that group of people, more so than it was from white Germans in South Germany, where it is really racist. Yeah. So this is this is a funny comparison. Yeah, and it's so I can understand when you look at a country like Bosnia and Serbia, and where you look at these people and they look the same, but they hate each other's guts. Yeah, or you look at what happened in Ireland between the North Ireland people and the Republic of Ireland people. North Ireland is Protestant, and the Republic of Ireland is Catholic. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, because England is Protestant. Yeah, Anglican, it's Protestant, and uh, and North Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, so that would make them Protestant too. So that means the bigger part of the island is Catholic, and they look the same, but they hate each other. And back in the when was it, the 80s and 90s, and maybe even before that, with this Irish Republic Army and all the terrorism that was happening there, it was basically Irish against Irish. Yeah, Irish who were siding with the British against Irish who were proud to be Irish. Then it turned Catholic against Protestant. It's deeper than that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the surface here, but it's the same skin color, but they hate each other's guts. So now I understand that this can happen among Indians too. That we're the same skin color, and yet you have one tribe that's totally trying to put itself above all others. Yeah, at this Thanksgiving dinner that I told you about, this Navajo guy, after he said he was from the greater Navajo Nation, he was saying, "Yeah, we're the largest tribe in America," and so that means we have the most educated people. He's going on and on like that. So I said that also means you have the most alcoholics, the most drug addicts. I said, man, you gotta look at the total picture. You can't just look at the partial reality. If you want to be real, you gotta admit you guys do have the most alcoholics too, and that shut him up. Yeah. And that Apache guy was just smiling at me. I said, "Gee, Dave, you not only did you put him in his place, you taped him down." He said, "Where did you learn that from boarding school?" He said. See, we had the sense of humor, yeah. We really got along good. There's really I don't mean to sound, like I'm generalizing, but there is some truth to generalization, yeah. The Apache, us guys and Apaches just get along pretty good for some reason. My cousin, he married a girl from there, from San Carlos. Wonderful people. Yeah, and this guy I was talking about, this Apache guy at this Thanksgiving dinner, he turned out to be a pretty good friend of mine too. Yeah, we really connected good. So it's interesting. He's from the Southwest, I'm from the North, and we connected. I know what that's like, and I'm to be ridiculed by a group of people who see you as less than, yeah, that talk really down on you, that threaten you, that follow you around, harass you, to the point where you got to look over your shoulder all the time. You got to look who's in front of you. If there's you're coming around the corner, you have to wonder, are they going to be standing there waiting for you? And you have to be ready for that. To come to that kind of behavior that shows you something about that group of people, that you can't trust them. Do you see what I mean? And what I've talked about tonight is just the tip of the iceberg. It gets deeper. Yeah, I can tell you other stories from other Indians that had experiences with Navajos, and believe me, what I said tonight was really, really candy coated. I really put a lot of makeup on it. Yeah, it was actually, the reality was actually much, much worse. It was actually ugly, very, very ugly. All you European people, we're not the same. Yeah, all us Indians, we are not the same, and we don't. A lot of us, see some of us see ourselves better than others, and but that's starting to change. Which is a good thing. Now today, there's Navajos that come to South Dakota for Sundance. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, we have Indians from Canada coming to South Dakota for ceremonies. There was a holy man from Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, where I'm from, where people as far as Alaska were coming to see him. There were Indians from South America that were coming to see him for healing. And I think all that says something. I'm not saying we're better than others. What I'm saying is that this is the kind of thing that happens when you're in tune with nature. Yeah, our grandmother Earth is a living being, and all us humans, we're like cells. Yeah, we're like cells inside of her body, and when we become dualistic, we become a disease. And if the diseased cells get too populous, and there's too many of them, she's going to call everyone to safety. She's going to say, come inside me. I'll tell you where to go for safety. Because I'm going to cleanse myself. I'm going to rid myself of this disease. So to hear that voice, we have to live in harmony with nature. And living in harmony with nature, we cannot say we are better than others. We cannot say that our way is beautiful and that the other tribe's ways are ugly. That is duality. That's the way a disease talks. A disease says we will overcome the entire earth. We will subdue the earth because we are beautiful, we are better, that is a disease that talks like that. That's who the earth is going to cleanse. Yeah? That is who the earth is going to cleanse. So it doesn't matter what race you are. If you think you're better than others just because of your race, you're going to be cleansed one day. Yeah? You will not exist anymore. That's a promise. So be careful when you in your communications to others and how you present yourself to the world. Humility is such a big thing. To be humble. Yeah? To live what you believe. And part of humility is saying we live for peace. We take in anybody. Doesn't matter the way they look, whether they're beautiful or ugly. We don't care. Who says they're beautiful? Who defines what's ugly? To us, we are all grandchildren on our grandmother Earth. And it's not the outer appearance that matters. What matters is what's underneath it. What makes that person move? What makes that person think and breathe and eat and love and learn? That's the sacred center. That's what we all have. This is peace. Yeah? That is the goal. That's mitakwe oyasing. But to say it's beauty, that means everything else is ugly. That's duality. So we don't use that word. Yeah? Instead we say, Daya omoniye for women. Women say that. Men say, Daya omoniye lo. That means walk in peace. Not beauty. Peace.